5 then, so as we move into section B, and this is the reason why that getting the timing so crucial in section A is because there are more marks in section B of the paper. So you need to absolutely make sure that you get here an hour and 15 minutes into the paper. So you've got the 25 minutes that you need to answer this question there to use really, really effectively. The skill then is to write effectively, and in question 5 you'll be asked to inform, explain or describe. You don't get a choice, they just tell you what you have to do, okay? But we know what you're going to be marked on, and you're marked on language features, so this might be aforist, but remember if you've watched the question 3 video, it's not just about limiting yourself to that. Be really conscious of the words that you use, that verb choice, the adjective choice, thinking really carefully about the language choices that you use, and then paragraphs and structure, and then sentences and spelling. Okay, so you've got 25 minutes to answer this or to write for this question. Okay, so the first thing you do when you get in there is just write down aforist, FF, and then all these pieces of punctuation. Okay, you can give yourself a little cheeky smiley wink in the exam to yourself to kind of boost your spirits an hour and 15 minutes into this exceptionally long paper. Okay, and then as you go through the paper, tick these off, or halfway through think, right, okay, have I used a question mark, have I got a bracket there, have I used a semicolon, and look through to kind of self-assess to make sure you've got a range of sentence types. And then FF will just help you to remember structure, so use that to have firstly and finally. Okay, so firstly obviously at the beginning and finally as your last point. So use that and that will really help you get the organisation and structure points, so that you can see that you've structured your writing and you're leading to a sense of where you're going. Okay, the next thing you need to do after this is to make a little plan. Okay, look at the question and have a little idea of where you're going to go with it. Okay, so the reason why I've told you to write all that stuff down, because it's actually it links to all the things that you're being asked to do to write effectively. So aforist are your language features, the first and finally are your paragraphs and structure, and then the list, the cheeky little wink, is going to help you with your sentences and spelling too. Not so much the spelling, but at least thinking about the range of sentences that you've got there. Okay, the big thing here then is I can't emphasise enough how important it is that you learn those golden sentences and the golden vocabulary that are also on this website. Those are really simple ways to show really obviously really sophisticated sentence structure that you will be given credit for. Okay, so there are 5 words there that are really, really fantastic, and you can learn to spell those and know what they mean, obviously, and you use them appropriately. And then the golden sentences, just learn some of those. Have that as a really easy way of helping you, giving yourself the tools basically to do this exam well. Okay, so looking then at question 5 then on this January 2013 paper, it asks you to write an article for a website describing a place that you have explored, okay, and the most interesting thing that you found there. Now, a really key thing here then is these bullet points really help. So it tells you, it helps you, it says, remember to write an article and remember to use language to describe. Lots of describing videos also on this website. So thinking really about the adjectives that you use and the verb choices that you use. Okay. So look really carefully at the question. Okay. So what you need to do then are have some good words that describe, including language features, some organisation and paragraphs, spelling of common words, and control over sentences with full stops and question marks. That is your fundamental, basic, skilled piece of effective writing. Okay, to bring that up, you need clear language used to describe that includes lots of language features. Remember, not just alliteration and facts, it can be very much about the word choices that you use. Use organisation and paragraphs throughout. And there's videos on paragraphing too. Spells unusual words correctly, and this is where that golden vocabulary thing is really useful. 5 unusual words you can learn to spell, and uses a range of sentences accurately. Again, that golden sentence is all there, really there to help you. Okay, so write a short article for the website. Well, that's just who's your audience there? Well, that's quite a lot of people, isn't it? But here, really, what you need to be careful of is actually who and who am I writing for, and what am I writing? Okay, so if the audience here was children or young people around your kind of age, then your language would be much more informal, much more casual. You wouldn't want to go too casual, but you know, it would be more informal than perhaps something with this wider audience than as a website. Okay, so we want our language to be quite good. A place that you have explored and the most interesting thing that you found there. So it's asking you to do two things really. Explore something you've explored and the most interesting thing that you found there. Lots of people just read the first little bit and then forget about the second bit and don't get that most interesting thing that you found there. This is really helping you to help you structure what you're going to write. Okay, now when you do exam marking, you mark 273 of these. So you don't need to talk about the woods that you went to with your friends. Absolutely, if it's appropriate, make something up. You don't need to write about when you went down to the woods with your mates, for example. Much more entertaining for examiners to write about some exotic island that you were shipwrecked on, or something that you some adventure, some imaginary adventure is going to be much more exciting than talking about the woods that you went to with your friend, or the park, which were probably about 250 of the responses out of 273. So it's kind of thinking about that really, and you know, it's boring marking them. You need to try and make it exciting, basically, and the examiner will reward you for that. Okay, so here's an example then of a standard response. Okay, when I was younger, me and my mate went through Crickley Woods. We didn't know it was being used by the MOD, that's the Ministry of Defence. We saw some signs, but we didn't read them, and we carried on. We found a funny looking metal ball, and this was the most interesting thing that we found. Then we saw a soldier with a gun. So that was the end of our exploring adventure. Okay, there are so many ways you can make this better. Okay, they've actually got quite an interesting little story, but they use clear sentences. There's kind of some sense of some description. In that it was a funny looking metal ball, but really there are lots of things here that they're being used that they could make much more powerful. They've essentially walked into an army what do you call it, a training exercise, so that you can make that much more exciting and interesting, and they kind of do what they're being asked, but not quite. Okay, so what I want you to do then is to try and make that one better. That's one of the things that you can do. And then also I've given you a little bit of a start of another response. And this is, have you ever been so hot it's hard to breathe? Well, That's what it was like on my adventure on a deserted island. Okay, so this little start of a description. If you're thinking of a deserted island or a jungle or some kind of dense rainforest or in the Antarctic or wherever, think of something that's going to lead you to be able to describe lots of things. Okay, if you're on a deserted island, there's going to be the sand that you can talk about, perhaps the woods that are there, the sound of the sea, the different animals. You've got much greater scope to be able to talk about stuff than if you are down the woods with your mates, basically. So really think about that when you get to question 5. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pause this video, and I want you please to write this out as an exam answer. It'll take you 25 minutes. You've got the start there. See what else you can do to develop, and then self-assess against the success criteria that's here, so that you can see where you need to improve. And there are videos on this website that will take you through to help you paragraph, help you think about sentences and that kind of thing. Remember to use golden sentences and vocabulary. Okay. Right, finally then, once you've done that, I've written down lots of different question 5 kind of sample things that you'll be asked to do. So here there's a good really kind of 3 hours of work that you can do here. So you don't need to do it all at once, but quite handy little 25-minute exercises you can do that just takes you through some different things, some different tasks that you can do. Really think about, write them, and then rewrite them. Think about actually how can you make that better. Essentially, they're going to ask you to do lots of similar things over and over again, and you can basically learn that before you get